All right, good day, and we're going to do in this video paper one, and what I'm going to in particular do, and this is ACE 435, outline for this video, we're going to talk about everything that has to do with the Excel portion of the problem. So we're going to do Excel stuff here. We're going to download the files from our Compass website, bring them into Excel. We're going to look at filter, produce the table, pivot table, and then produce the filter. So that's our outline, beginning with downloading the file. If you go to our website, you will see all of these files listed here: coffee, cotton, dairy, fruit, vegetables. These are the files that you will use to complete paper one. If you go, these files were all downloaded from the Foreign Ag Service PSD Online website. Let me take you there. So these are all downloaded. You could have gotten them here. Foreign Ag Service, U.S. Department of Agriculture. They come from the reports and data, particularly the PSD data set, and then you see them all listed here. You could download those directly from the website. I have done those for you, put those on our website. And you only need one of these for your assignment, and the specific commodity that you're thinking about doing could be covered in one of these. Download the one you want, or download them all, look around them, and pick your commodity. To download it, just click on it, and it will come into your, well, mine comes in here, then you can save it. So do whatever you have to do to save that, and then save that to your machine. All right, so that's the first step. You're going to get the file on your machine. Now you're going to bring that into Excel. I have Excel set up here. I'm going to open this. I have saved those on my PSD. This happens to be a filter I have. I am going to use the fruits and vegetables one as an example. These are all CSV files, which means they look like this. They're comma delimited. You could bring those into anything that you wanted to, but we're going to bring those into Excel. So I'm going to bring that into Excel, highlight it, open it, and it'll take a little bit. It will come in there and it will be opened. So this is what our file will look like. I'm going to make it a little bigger. I'll zoom it to 125 so we can see it well. All right, now you have this saved in your machine. I'm going to save this. I'm going to save this as, and you can't probably see this, I'm going to save this as a regular old Excel worksheet. If you don't save it as an Excel worksheet, if you save it again as a CSV file, you're going to lose everything that you work on. So you're going to save it. So we've done that. Your warning has disappeared. So we've done now, downloaded the files, bring into Excel. Now we're going to filter them. When you filter them, one of the key things to remember is this attribute description here really is just giving you the following information: beginning stocks, production plus imports minus consumption minus exports equals ending stocks. Remember one of our first modules. This is the supply use. Go back to that first module. The data in this column somehow relates to beginning stocks, production, and this could be divided into different items depending on the commodity. Imports, consumption, and I'm going to give you an example where that's divided out here a little differently in this example. Exports, ending stocks, but this is the basic mathematical relationship that we're looking at for this attribute distribution file. All right, making use of that, I'm first going to talk to you a little bit about filtering. Remember that this data is organized. Each one of these lines, let's just take the first line, is apples fresh. Commodity, that's its commodities code. This is its country. This is the marketing year for which it's um, for. This happens to be the year at which it's updated. We don't use that. Month. Attribute idea, which is a numeric number for this one. Commercial production. Unit ID, million tons, and our value. All right, the first thing that I'm going to suggest you do, and this is a powerful tool that you'll often use in your work if you use Excel, is do a data filter. Once you hit data filter, and if you toggle, you can toggle that on and off, what you're going to see here is these little things, drop-down boxes, and we can filter this data to look at it more, or cut down what we're looking at. I'm going to do, so if you look at this data, there's all of these different commodities in here. I'm going to do apples. All right, we're going to do apples. So now if you go, I just filtered this by apples. So now only thing that's going to show up in this column is apples. I'm going to look at, and you'll see here we have a lot of different countries. I only want to look at the United States. Okay, there we go. And now, if I come over here, you'll see that I have a lot of different items, but here's exports, i.e. right down here. Here is commercial production, i.e. right here, production. Here is 2 items for consumption. They divide apple consumption up into 4 processing consumption. How you would know that is you could go to their website, look at apples, for example, go back to their website here and go look at their publications. You go into fresh delicious fruit and you'll see their publications, and then you can go look at how they divide things out in here. So if you can figure this out by going to their publication, this is also a good resource for learning something about it. But here, production, fresh domestic consumption, for processing, imports, and exports. So they list everything here. Dividing out consumption in for processing and fresh domestic consumption. Okay. I am going to look at commercial production. Now look, what I've done, I've filtered this. I have apples here, United States here, commercial production here. It's thinking about that a little bit. But now, I have filtered all of those items out, and if you look at that now, go down here, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74. You'll see here, I have my value over here, my year here. I've actually got a time series now of commercial production for the United States by year with values. So you can use that filter to look at different things in your worksheet. All right, I'm going to take the data filter off. Talked about filter. Now I'm going to do the pivot table. All right, you're going to insert a pivot table here, coming back here, and this is thinking a little bit now. For whatever reason, my computer is thinking a little bit, which isn't, these are pretty big files, and sometimes they take a little bit of time to work with. All right, but in general, what a pivot table does is it takes this data that's listed here, and we can filter it and only use certain things on it, but it's going to take this data and filter it out. So that's the idea behind the pivot table. All right, we're ready to do our pivot table. To do that, you're going to insert, and you're going to insert a pivot table. You will have to make sure that your entire range here is highlighted. Hit OK. And here's what the pivot table looks like. All right, what we are going to do is put in here, this table is going to have rows in it, and we can put any one of these items here as rows. We're going to do country name as rows. All right, there's our rows. We are going to do, excuse me, market year as our columns. We could pick anything as a market year, and we're going to put a value in here. Remember, going back here, all of our data here is in the values. All right, so we could have the sum, and we do have the sum of the values. You could pick different things. You could pick a count. So there's 10 items that go into the Afghan, for example, if we're looking at count. But we're going to do sum right now. And now we want to filter. And filter will eliminate some of the data that's in this table. And I want to filter that by commodity description. We only want to look at one commodity. I'm going to look at apples. And we want to do that by attribute description. So the attribute description, remember, come back. This is our supply and demand items. Commodity description, I want to do just apples. Here we are. So now, if we look at these, we just have apples. By the way, if you're looking at this pivot table, let me go down to US. Pivot table. Here we are. We're at US. If I find a row in here and I click on it, double click, it will show me everything that goes into that. So I can check what's going on in there. But I want, so now I got this sorted by apples, but I want to get it down even further. And you'll notice here, if you go back here, I have everything in here. Well, I only want, I'm going to use this to create tables. Remember, I want to look at production, so I'll put production up there. Our consumption is both fresh, domestic, and non-commercial consumption, so I'll create one table with just those in there. Excuse me, I'm sorry, fresh, domestic, and for processing. This is our consumption too. Wanted to look at exports, and then I wanted to look at imports. So I'm going to do that by having 4 different tables. So I'm going to do this first by commercial production. See, there's my table for commercial production. I'm also going to want to do one table for fresh domestic consumption and for processing. So now that's total supply. There's 2 items here. For domestic consumption and for processing. It summed those as I asked it to. So there's my production item. I can do my exports. I have to make sure that I unclick those, and there's my exports. There's only one there now. Exports, and so on and so forth. All right, so we got the filter. I'm going to do commercial production. All right, so now I've done pivot table. Now I'm going to show you how to produce the filter. Figure, you've done this before. All right, I'm going to do this by highlighting the data that I want. And I'm going to copy this. Come on, you can do it. I know you can. Get over here and copy it. All right, I'll have to do this again. So I've highlighted it. I'm going to go home. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to produce another figure, and I'm going to paste it. All right, remember, we were only using data from 2000 on. The reason why we do that is some of these countries change descriptions, and rather than worry about adding them, in particular, what has happened, EU has merged. So if you look, EU has changed over time, and rather than worrying about that, we're just going to begin when all the countries were stable. There's 2000. All right, so now we have this data. This is consumption data from 2000 by these countries. I am going to sort this. So this data sort, I want to sort this so the 2018, the country with the most highest consumption is at the top. I'm going to do data sort. I'm going to sort this by 2018, largest to smallest. Okay, so here, China has a, I'm going to do something so that I can see this better. I'm going to put commas in here, take out the zeros. All right, number one, and I'm going to freeze panes because I don't, I'm going to data freeze the panes so that it looks that I can see it better. I'm sorry, view freeze panes. So in 2018, China's number one, EU's number two, United States is number three, Turkey is number four. Well, so what I'm going to do, again, like we did before, I'm going to insert rows, and I only want to look at the three countries. And for your commodity, you might have to make some judgments here. I could see where for fresh apples, you might take Turkey, Iran, and India along. Well, let's just do that this time. So now we're going to look at a couple more countries. Insert, then all others. All right, so I'm going to sum this data. So all my other countries is everything below this. So I'm going to sum this down here. They're all here. There it is, all others. And then copy this. All right. Now I'm going to produce a graph, line graph. This one is going to have now China, EU, United States. We've always done just three. I just took a couple more along just for the fun of it. I'm going to delete this row labels. And now I'm going to insert a graph. And I'm going to insert my line graph. I'm going to highlight this, these columns, this data. You could do this any one of a number of ways. I'm going to insert a line graph. Here's my line graph. Want one of those. Yeah, this is what I want. There to go. There it is. All right, here's my line graph. Now, I want to pretty this up some. And basically, anything that you do, all right, I want to make this one different. I want to bold those numbers. If you left click on those, you can get a format. And then you'll come over here and you can do a lot of different formatting. So I want to is this a number? I want 0 decimal places there. I'm going to make it bold. I'll make it larger. I'm going to make this one bold, larger. I want this to look nice. I want your graphs to look nice. I personally don't like those. Take those grid lines off. I'm going to add a axis. I want a line, solid line. I want it black. Oops. Want it black. Want this one black. I like to see I personally like to see those up here. I like my legend up here. Makes it easier to see. Now, the other thing you want to look at here is if you're looking at this, can I distinguish these lines? And that's European Union. China, I can see. United States is here. All right, Turkey. All right, I can see all those. I think I'm going to make all other dotted. That doesn't stand out very well. There, that looks better. So now, China, EU, United States, Turkey, Iran, India. Other thing that I want to do, I got to label these graphs. I'm going to put figure 1, production of apples, 2000 to 2018. Oops, country. I need to label my axis. Alright, so I'm going to add axis title. This is year. And you gotta, that's bold it, make it bigger. And then I'm going to add million metric ton. All right, got that. Gonna bold that too. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a text box at the bottom here, and I'm going to tell me my source. You have to put your source. USDA, US Foreign Ag Service. You might want to spell it correctly. PSD Online. All right, we have it. There it is. And you can, oops, make that bold. Spell the thing. Review spelling. Correct. Check some things. Okay. All right, there it is. Now, I have it made. If I come over here and copy this as a picture, okay, I can push this into my Excel file. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go paste special. There it is. And if I want to, I can move it back and forth. There it is. So that's what you need to do. All right, there you go. Got any questions? See Jackie or I.